just remind me to actually. So, and your screen. Why is it not working? Wait. Sorry, guys. There it is. And okay, can y'all see?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So what we're gonna do, we decided there's like so much stuff we want to cover tonight that we're just condensing it. We really just doing one of these things, but we're gonna do two. So I'm gonna, yes.
You may want to mute everyone right now.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna mute everyone and then mute. Okay, now that I did share screen,
If not, then everybody can just mute themselves. Until you have a question or something to.
okay, here we go. Mute all. Got it.
Okay.
Okay. And back to. Okay, why is this? Okay, back to this. Can we see this now? Oh yeah, you're muted. Okay, so either me or Lauren, one of you unmute, just so I'm not like thinking I'm talking to myself.
Yeah, we can see it. You're good.
Okay, cool. All right, so like I was saying is we're covering two subjects. I'm doing one, and then Lauren's gonna do one. We had a lot of questions about recruiting. So I'm going to cover that first, and then Lauren's going to talk about something important with a lot of the people that have been around, especially too. But for the new people, just so you know, compliance. So she'll cover the second part as our resident attorney. All right, so recruiting is important, obviously, and looking at a comp plan. Any MLM has this structure. There's you, your first line, your second line, etc. So would you rather get paid on just you? Or would you rather get paid on a team? And the width is the key. So the more first lines you get, the better you lead them, the more second lines and third lines and fourth lines you'll have. And you'll see a lot of growth if you really focus not just on your sales, but really not just recruiting new people, but training them and leading them. And this may not come naturally to you. It didn't come natural to me. It's something you have to really study and evolve yourself into a leader. But if you have questions, like, that's what we're here for. So never like feel afraid of asking questions if you're not quite sure. Once you recruit someone, you sign someone new, you don't know what to do next, please ask. That's what we're here for. It's in all of our best interest to have a strong team that's well led, and when you succeed, they succeed, everyone succeeds. So let's talk about the reasons to join Scout and Cellar. I say the proof is in the pudding. We have over $5 million in sales, and that's in 6 months. So Sarah was hoping, for about $30,000 by December, and this absolutely blew it out of the water. We're at almost 1,500 consultants nationwide. So the proof of concept is proven. So I think this first year of a company, you're proving, does this concept, will it float? Will this business even, is it a viable business? Is the business model, is what I'm selling, is it something people want? So I think what we proved in our first 6 months is there is a demand for this, and people are willing to buy it. So I've been saying this from the beginning, that this train is moving fast. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Kind of like the whole Rodan and Field 6 to 8 years. It's been like 8 years now, probably. It's rare to have a startup opportunity with a company with this quick a growth, knowing that it's going to be projecting a lot more growth. These opportunities do come along very rarely. So it's awesome to join at the ground level. And so we need to be proud of that and say, I'm joining at the ground level, and you have that opportunity too. Another reason to join is this is a consumable, line. So it's not like you're selling jewelry or something that you don't necessarily need replenished and everything. It's something that people are going to want more of. You can do repeat. I've seen a lot of people say I'm doing monthly tastings at this place. And that's the way I hope it is. I hope that we build a business outside of just home tastings and stuff. Like we build relationships with gyms or spas and realtors and stuff that we don't really ever have to work to book our schedule. Like my schedule this month is crazy town because in January I started booking everything. And now there's people that want to do things for next month and the month after. And so making it sustainable because it's a consumable good and we have new products coming in, it's not going to be the same old thing you're selling twice. And when I say new things coming in, it's not like getting some hydration serum, like once a year, big product launch. It's like every week we're getting new wines. So it's awesome. And then the wine club memberships. I know you're like, why is that a reason to join Scout and Cellar? But a lot of people are like, what's my residual income? Like the income that's coming without me working, and that's your wine clubs. And I've kind of always said my goal is to always meet my personal sales requirements with my wine clubs every month. So if for 1 month I'm like recruiting and training and helping and traveling and stuff with this, that my wine clubs will carry me. And I think it's great that we have something that provides a residual income, the mailbox money. So it's wine. I mean, that's obviously the last reason. It's wine. It's not like we're selling something that we're really having to force down people's throat. Well, kind of throats technically, but it's something that we all love. I don't know that anyone's ever left a wine tasting saying that was a terrible time. I wish I hadn't gone. So it's fun. It's wine. So things to do. No need to be pushy. Wine's fun. It's not rocket science. We don't need to overcomplicate it. If people are familiar with like an MLM structure, it's nothing that's like novel, but it is kind of novel to have an MLM that's wine. So just don't overcomplicate it and don't be too pushy. But don't give up if someone acts uninterested. I mean, I tell the story of me. The first time Natalie approached me about it, I was like, not for me. My reasons were like, I don't want to do an MLM type thing. But then it was like, oh, I really should do it. Another reason is I have a full-time job, so I don't have time, or whatever excuse you hear. Like, that's fine, but that doesn't mean no. It just means I needed to marinate on it. I call it marinating, where you marinate on the idea, think about it, and then you go back. But it took me a solid 3 times at least before. And it wasn't that Natalie was being pushy. It was just that, she was like, I really do think you would be great. This company hasn't even launched yet. I mean, all this stuff. You'd be one of the founder people, all that. So no doesn't always mean no. It just means like, let me think about it and do your due diligence and follow up and talk to everyone. If they're not interested, I at a tasting, and when I do my spiel at the end, like if you want to do what I do, I have a blast doing this. And if not you, think about any family, friends, coworkers, neighbors that are interested in making some extra money that you think may be good at this. Please send them my way. And I've had at several tastings be like, my sister-in-law in Tennessee would be great at this. And so really follow up on that stuff. I think like it may not be good for them, but do they know someone? And I know I would never be offended if someone was like, hey, I know you wouldn't be interested, but do you know anyone? I'd be like, I'd give it a good thought. I feel like it's a good thing to ask. Think out of state. They're about to come out with a nationwide map with the percentages. They're not going to do numbers anymore. They're going to merely do percentages, which is fine. I mean, it's all the same. You can do zip code search if you want, but like Keeley in Nebraska is one of 2 consultants and stuff. So like that whole area is theirs. And so if you know anyone out of state, like that's awesome. So know your comp plan or contact your upline if you don't, because the one thing they'll do is, how can I make money? And if you're kind of unsure or not confident with answering that, then they're going to be a little hesitant. So we really need to start utilizing, I don't know if y'all have read the Get Over Your Damn Self book, the whole upline 3-way talk thing. Like if you have a new consultant And, or if you have a potential consultant, we're asking and begging you to get them on the phone with us, because we know the plan. We know how they can make money. We know these answers. And if you not knowing them is not bad. It's just the fact that you're new and you may not know, or even if you're not new, and you're not comfortable verbalizing the comp plan, just do yourself a favor, and if you're gonna either try to learn it or just contact one of us so we can verbalize that, because in the end, people do want to know how they're gonna make money. And let's look at who your recruits are. I say other MLM people. For those of you who are like, what is MLM? It's multi-level marketing. Just a moment. I say these are the best because they get it. Like, they know what it is. They know how this works. Like, they know, number one deal, they start selling, start recruiting, instantly get a team together. Your team will get a team and it will grow. And the best way to do it is fast and furious. So they get it. Stay-at-home moms are great. The bad thing about us as stay-at-home moms is, which will bring me to my next point further down, is we're not as organized with our time. We're not bad at time management, generally speaking. Like, I have a million things I need to do, but if I don't lay out a certain agenda for my day, I can get off task. The laundry, the this, the that. Oh my gosh, there's, you can get off task so easily. So stay-at-home moms, we're great, but we need to be a little more firm with our schedule, saying these hours are the ones I'm committing to the business, period. People associated with the clean industry in general: organic spas, hairstylists, personal trainers, gym owners, workers, attendees. Oh, I meant to extend on that one, but anyone in that business. A lot of anyone in the healthcare industry. I know like a lot of like Beachbody people or people associated in the wellness. Like, you can do, one of these vitamin and whatever companies and do this too. Like, they go hand in hand. And then people with full-time jobs. That sounds crazy, but they know they know about having a full plate and then pushing something over to allow for something else. And every time I feel like I have a full plate, I mean, I just took over president of PTA, go mommy, I just push something over and then I put that on my plate. But I find myself and my productivity to be better, and I'm more focused and more organized when I do have an overflowing plate. And I think there's actually studies on this that show that people who already have jobs are actually better than people who don't have jobs for some reason. So it's a really weird thing. But they also look for great opportunities. They're kind of business minded. And people like me that are stay-at-home moms that used to be in the, corporate America, like, I get all that. Like, I know a good opportunity when I see one. And so I'm going to push stuff aside, add it to my plate. So, and lastly, just master your 30-second message. If someone's like, okay, well, tell me about your company. Y'all should all have a 30-second message down. Like, every single person should have your clean crafted story, how you got into it, and the clean crafted / Sarah story. Like, I started because I couldn't drink wine for 7 years. I tried a bottle, blah, blah. I didn't have headaches in the morning. It was related to sulfites, blah, blah, blah. And then I found out the reason why I was able to drink wine again is because it's grown naturally with no synthetic pesticides. They're all grown in, all the grapes are grown in sustainable, organic, and biodynamic farms. They're hand-picked. I mean, then you just go down this list. And if you're reading it, that's fine. Say it to the mirror, say it to your dog, say it to anyone. Just get this down to where if you're working a booth at something, you may be saying this a million times, but the more you say it, the more other people will believe, that's pretty awesome, Yeah.
I have a suggestion on that, something that I started doing, not for my own personal story. That's obviously a separate piece, but for the Scout and Cellar, like the Clean Crafted story, I've been watching, obviously I watched all of Sarah's interviews that she did like on Houston Life and then on the ABC, the After the Oscars one, and almost just say what she says verbatim, because those are little like short clips that she has. And I just love the way that she words it. And
It's
I mean,
so authentic.
if it's coming from her mouth, then like we know it's okay. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's okay to repeat, and it's quick, and she's just really good at getting that message across. So that I found that to be helpful.
I mean, I showed after the Oscars one or whatever that was to a potential tasting person, and she watched the entire thing, loved it, and all that. So I mean, show those videos too. So anyways, I think that's it, and we're gonna hand it over to Lauren.
All right. I'm unmuted, I think, right?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. So everything in this company like just kind of exploded, I think, quicker than anyone could really predict. I think we all know that at this point. So there are some pieces that are missing at the moment where, like, for example, compliance, or like an HR department, or something like in normal companies or more developed MLMs, they have compliance people that monitor everybody's social media. They have these big departments of people who discipline people for not following protocol, not following their policies and procedures, saying stuff like, I know, with Rodan and Fields, they have a bunch of things they can and can't say about the lash boost. So we don't have that yet at this point as far as like an individual or individuals who are monitoring it. But Courtney and I have had a lot of issues brought to our attention through various means that have gone up the chain, and corporate has made it very clear that they're going to start coming down hard on all of this stuff. And we just want to make sure that everybody understands what you can and can't say, and that everyone reads like very closely the policies and procedures. So, I mean, as Courtney said, I'm a lawyer in my day job, but I have to say this, like, in no way, shape, or form am I acting as a lawyer tonight on this call, or do I act as a lawyer in any capacity for Scout and Cellar. Like, I don't work for Scout and Cellar as a lawyer. I'm a consultant just like you guys. I just have a background in some of this stuff by trade, but I'm not representing anybody on this call or anybody in the company or the company. So I have to say that.
I love that.
Well, I do. It's, I have to make that clear. So this is not me offering any legal advice in any way. These are just me pointing out policies and procedures that are being ignored or broken. Okay. So all of this is stuff too that you guys as leaders, as you build teams, like, you have to make sure your team is aware of these rules, because the consequences could potentially be huge for both you and the company. You can go, Courtney. Thank you. Okay. So at the end of this, I'll show you guys where all of this is, but Chris posted this the other day, the legal questions, and said that everybody, needs to read it. I can't stress enough that everybody needs to read this. I'll go through a little bit of it. I don't want to drag on for too long, because I feel like there might be a lot of questions whenever we're finished with this. So I want to save some time for that. But basically, we get asked all the time, and, Courtney, of course, has been in this the longest, but still to this day, I get asked, can I sell to a bar? Can I sell to a restaurant? Can I sell to, some mom and pop retail place? The question is, the answer is no, you can't.
And the answer, I want to jump in here. The answer will always be no to that. So it's not like, oh, if we get bigger. No, the answer is always going to be no. That's not our sales model. We are not selling to be resold. That is never going to be our sales model. The answer will always be no to that.
Correct. So, and not only is it not our model, but we don't have the license to do that. So like Scout and Cellar in the state of Texas has a license, or several licenses with the TABC, to sell and distribute wine. We as consultants do not have that license. So that we have not been told by the ABC that, hey, yeah, you guys can go and sell bottles of wine. We can host tastings, we can introduce people to wine, we can serve wine, but we can't sell bottles of wine. So that leads me to my next point, or the next point on here. Wait, will you go back? Sorry, Courtney.
Sorry about that.
It's okay. So a lot of people over the last few months have posted on Facebook, have done this, which, it sounds like a great idea. I had a tasting, I had leftover wine, I sold it. Or can I sell these leftover bottles of wine to people there so that they have cash and carry? Like they pay you cash and just walk out the door with the bottle. Again, answer, always no. Never, ever, ever can you do that. Under no circumstances can you sell a bottle of wine to someone from your home. The rest are, I mean, pretty like self-explanatory as far as, you know, do you need to ask for an ID? But something that's just, you know, worth mentioning is we're all independent consultants. So we're not employees of Scout and Cellar. So if anything were to happen, either you overserve or something happens, somebody gets in an accident or somebody gets a DUI. I mean, at the end of the day, there will be a lot of questions and issues, but you're a consultant for Scout and Cellar. So like you're your own business. So you always need to have that like at the forefront of your mind. Like, this is my brand, my business, my responsibility. If that makes sense. So, okay. You can go. Okay, thank you. So this is what I just basically said. Like, what does that mean? The legal questions in layman's terms. It just means like we've had issues that have been brought to our attention where people are advertising on either social media or on like, here it's called Nextdoor. Like it's a neighborhood app where it's like, oh, did somebody hear gunshots? You know, or I'm selling whatever. And people in the neighborhood will post things. It's been brought to our attention multiple times, actually, that people have posted, hey, I have all this wine at my house. This is the company, all these facts about it. I, you know, work for them. I have all this wine. Let me know if you want some. You can't do that. You can't have a wine cellar in your house that you just sell bottles out of. Like, it's illegal. It violates the policies and procedures, but most importantly, it's illegal. So you also can't sell bottles of wine to people at your tasting events. And so like the key really is like, the simplest way to understand this is you can't make any exchange or do anything where it looks like you are physically selling alcohol. So you can put their stuff in the system, but it all has to come from Scout and Cellar. Like it all has to come from the warehouse. It all has to get shipped from the warehouse. You can't hand wine over. You can't run a square and a credit card through a square and hand them a bottle of wine. So, everybody good so far?
They're all muted.
Okay. All right. That's right. Thank you. Okay. So why does this matter? I took this regulatory considerations out of the policies and procedures from the company. Like I just cut and pasted it. The top part's obviously mine, but it matters because it is the law. And I can tell you from experience, it's not fun, not my personal experience, but with my real job, my company, like dealing with the TABC or whatever state you're in is a nightmare. And anytime your license gets questioned, it's a complete nightmare. And Courtney and I have talked about this at length, and Mandy, we definitely don't want anyone on our team to do something stupid to where we are ultimately somebody on our team is ultimately responsible for, Scout and Cellar losing their liquor license, their ABC license. And so what will happen with the ABC typically is you'll get fined, you'll have to go to court. There are all these different things that can happen, but ultimately, like in Texas, it's 3 strikes you're out. Like they'll yank your license. And so it's a huge deal because that's what we sell. The company sells wine. So if their license got jeopardized, the damages, and I mean, none of us would have this gig anymore. I mean, it would affect the entire company. So they have it in their policies and procedures and stating that, it's controlled by the federal and state laws, which it is. But at the very end, the very last sentence of this is, any consultant who fails to adhere to the procedures and guidelines provided by the company is subject to immediate dismissal. So this has been communicated to us that they will start taking all of this stuff very seriously. And people will start getting disciplined. So,
and I feel like the bigger we get, the more will be looked at. A small mom and pop shop, not so much, but a company like this, they're going to start looking at us. The ABC, TABC, they're going to start looking. And so I don't want any of our team to be in trouble. And that's what Lauren's talking about.
Yeah, agreed. And also, like, you have to think about all of the other MLM companies who could feel maybe a bit threatened by us right now. If somebody sees something that somebody posts online and they know it's against the law, I mean, there are going to be a lot of ways people can try to get us in trouble, is all I'm trying to say, like, as we continue to grow, which is what Courtney just said too. So you as consultants are all responsible for your postings. So now we're switching from like basically selling the alcohol to things you're saying in your postings, whether it's on social media or emails, text messages, whatever the case may be. Again, I took these little snippets from the company's policies and procedures, but everybody's responsible for their own stuff. And if you saw some of the stuff,
We've seen some crazy stuff.
People say things that it doesn't make sense, but you can't make any postings that are deceptive or misleading. You can't make any postings that the company basically hasn't put out there. So if the company hasn't said this wine has half the calories, you can't say it has half the calories. So you can go, if you want to the next one, Courtney.
Wait.
Oh, well, I guess, yeah. We'll get to some specific examples in a second, but I couldn't remember the order.
Do you want me to go to that one first? There we go. And then
Sure.
we'll go back.
Yeah, that's fine. So you can't make deceptive claims. So you can only say things that Scout and Cellar has said. So like you can't say, and we see it all the time. People do it all the time. But like Courtney said, I mean, the purpose of this call is to get out in front of it and make sure all of you guys are following the rules and making sure you're training your teams properly so that they're following the rules, because it's a trickle-down effect. So hopefully it starts from the top and goes down for a long, long time. A lot of people say hangover free. A lot of people say headache free. That's a misrepresentation. Does it, to me personally, give me a hangover? No. To me personally, does it give me a headache? No. But some people, it might. And so you can't say it's guaranteed, basically, to not give you a hangover or not to give you a headache. Half the calories, I already kind of touched on that. Like, we don't have a nutritionist that's broken down the calorie count on our wines. We know that they're less than most mass-produced wines. You can say stuff like that, like they're less than. It's definitely less the calories because it's less sugar. But I would really like err on the side of not ever quantifying anything. So don't say half the calories. Don't say a third of the calories, because the fact of the matter is every wine's different and we have nothing really to like back it up at this point. So just be careful with that. Don't say things like our wines won't cause altitude sickness. Don't know who said that. I have no doctor or no knowledge of any doctor saying our wines won't cause altitude sickness, but that's been said and brought to our attention that was said. And then all of the language on the little snippet, right, that Courtney showed earlier that tells you pesticide free, doesn't allow the 250 chemicals that the FDA allows to be, added to wine. Really adhere to that. Like that is what the company is saying our wine has or doesn't have. Like, don't exaggerate for the purpose of trying to sell wine. Don't say that the FDA allows 500 chemicals. Don't say that mass-produced wines have 550 added chemicals. Don't make stuff up. Like, if it's not there, don't say it. Seems pretty common sense, but sometimes it's a bit tricky. So just always like think in the back of your head, like, what is it that Scout and Cellar has actually said about the product and the company? And then the other slide, Courtney, yeah, thank you, is just, this is also again from their policies and procedures. Be professional, be forthcoming, be transparent. Don't make any sort of guarantees like, oh, you're going to make this much money. It's super easy. You don't have to work hard. Don't give anyone a reason to damage our brand and like what we're working so hard to create, because we are all like building this brand literally from the ground floor up. We're all doing it together.
And sell the wine. Like, I mean, there's so many benefits to clean wine. Like, everything on that sheet is amazing. And yes, in turn, I don't get hangovers, all that stuff. But you can say about you, yourself, but you can't make these claims that have not been proven in studies and stuff. So you can say, like, I don't get hangovers, but I mean, you want to sell the wine. Like, that's what we're selling, is the delicious wine that Sarah, our level 3 sommelier, picked out. Like, get back to like what this company is really about, clean wine, you know, wine from all over the world that she's finding for us and stuff. So
exactly. And like helping boutique farmers to survive, or like changing their lives too. Like, focus on the big picture and not, don't feel like you don't feel like you have to make up exaggerated details to sell the wine, because you
cheapen
really
the brand, and you don't want to cheapen the brand.
Exactly. And then just also make sure when you have tastings, like, you just always want to be professional, which I know all of y'all are. I'm not worried about this part, but it's just worth mentioning. Make sure everyone knows, like, you have to be professional. And if you're having a tasting, you probably shouldn't, you know, I think they say not to drink the wine while you're doing a tasting. Don't post pictures of, you know, you being all like hammered or whatever. Again, this has not happened, but I'm just saying.
Don't like.
It's your job. I mean, we are in people's homes, in people's businesses, as the face of the company. I mean, Sarah's obviously the face, but we're the ones that are like sitting in front of them in person. So just always be professional and respectful and honest. And there's just no need to like create any sort of room for someone to say something negative about Scout and Cellar. And then I put this on here. It's kind of hard to see because of the background, but just where, and we'll post this, I guess, right, in Wildvines, Courtney?
Yes.
Okay. So like, this is where the policies and procedures are located in your back cellar. So like the snippets that I pulled out, like, I highly recommend everyone go and read all 3 of these in the whole way through. It sucks and it's not like super fun reading, but I feel like it's really important for everyone to really understand what's expected of us, just to make sure we don't ever have any issues, because that's the last thing any of us want. And make sure your team, whenever I sign up new consultants, I meet, like, in my first email to them, I send the policies and procedures, the legal facts, you know, the answers and questions. I send those 3 documents to them and say, you have to read these. So.
Yay.
I tried to go through it as fast as I could. I could talk about like all of the policies and procedures, but who wants to do that?
Okay, let me get, okay, I unmuted everyone, so if you want to go back on mute, press mute. Okay, and chat. Okay, have you heard of any RNF consultants who are now S&C consultants getting pushback from RNF? Yeah, we do have some. Anyone want to? Marley, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, I mean, I can answer. Depends on the team that people are on. Can y'all hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I can.
And so, for instance, I'm in Elizabeth Guest's downline, which is a large, huge team in RNF. And
Taylor and I was a little sis for Taylor's fraternity, by the way. I recruited him. So anyways.
So she did make a lot of threats that, now I can't see y'all. It's so weird. That she would remove us from all of her Facebook pages and stuff, but it hasn't happened. The Rodan and Fields, their policies and procedures say that we can, as long as you're not at a certain level, you can sell product that does not compete with their product. So it shouldn't be a problem for most Rodan and Fields consultants, unless they're at like the level Elizabeth Guest is. So like the Sarah Watson, whom I'm now directly under, she can't say anything because I'm not breaking the policies of Rodan and Fields. So are there other specific questions maybe? Well, there you are.
Because I know Holly, like Stella and there's other people involved and other things and stuff. I researched everyone's policies and procedures, and there isn't a single one, and those things are pretty high level, that says you
Right.
can't do it. You can. There's some that are like you can't put both women's on the same invitation or something. But yeah, no, they all say, and I mean, some of them, like Marley said, unless you're at this really, really high level, which would be equal to our, I don't even know if we have one, you know, then you can't. So, but I think the pushback, yes, Holly said, yeah, you've been with is going to college. Yeah. I think they always feel like a little bit like slighted maybe though, like what Elizabeth was saying, I'm going to be, you know, she's maybe a little threatened. I don't know.
Or I think they're scared that they're going to lose
Right.
their own business. You know what I mean? That I'm not working as much on my Rodan and Fields as I used to because this is a better opportunity. And I think they know that, but
yeah,
it's not like I'm breaking rules, you know, I'm not breaking any policies. So they can't stop me. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So does anybody have questions about anything that we talked about? Any like cans and can't says, like what you should and shouldn't say? Any particular questions at all?
Or about recruiting or compliance or anything else? Like I mean, there's some new people on, like, what are some questions you guys have? We haven't had a call in a few weeks. So I feel like we need to like reconnect. So do y'all have any questions about anything that we covered?
I mean, I kind of have a question.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little taken back and confused about what we just talked about saying the no hangover and no headache thing, because I feel like that was a big reason why I joined, because that was kind of a selling point. And so I mean, I'm not at all trying to be rude. I'm just totally confused of what kind of all of a sudden happened to where that's not a selling point that we can use.
I think what it is, you can always make claims about yourself. Like I don't get hangovers. You can say a lot of these things have been known to cause hangovers, things like that. You know, I mean, there's a million articles about what causes hangovers in wines. You can repost those and say a lot of these things are going to cause hangovers, and guess what? Scout and Cellar doesn't have these things. Or you can say, the best thing I love about Scout and Cellar wines is I don't get headaches anymore. You can say those things. I've talked to them about that. Like, I've gotten clarification, because it's when you, and we're all guilty of doing this. It's like when you make factual statements that are not backed by, I guess, like studies and legalities. You won't get a hangover, you won't get a headache, because there is going to be someone who gets a headache because they have an allergy to freaking grapes. I don't know. Or something. And so it's just our way of covering ourselves. We've seen some bizarro crap out there that is being claimed. I don't know if it's it looks, again, I say it cheapens the brand. It makes us look desperate when we start exaggerating it. So by you saying, one thing I've loved doing is drinking wine again. I used to get the worst hangover with wines, and this wine I don't get hangovers with. But can you make the blanket statement, you won't get hangovers with this wine? No, you can't.
Well, the fact is that Scout and Cellar as a company has never ever made that claim that people will not get hangovers or will not get headaches from the wine. It is clean crafted wine, and research has shown that the headaches that people get are being found to come from all the added crap, which we don't add, our winemakers don't add. But, you know, I had a tasting a couple weeks ago where the hostess ordered more wine for after the tasting, and they went through a lot of wine, and they all felt pretty crappy the next day when I talked to all of them because they just flat out drank too much, didn't drink enough water, and didn't have anything to eat. So, you know, I mean, we can't, like, if the company doesn't make that claim, then we can't make it either. And I know it's like kind of tricky and kind of a fine line. But I think we do have to base it all on personal experiences and making sure that we're, because if we say no hangovers and no headaches, like it's a no hangover wine, then that's kind of a blanket statement, and we can definitely be accused of false advertising for that.
Oh yeah. And hey, if y'all are not talking, can you go ahead and mute yourself? I don't want to, and then unmute if you want to talk. Just there's a lot of popping noises.
Okay. I have something on my screen that says, to hear others, please join audio. Call using internet audio. Dial in, cancel. It's right in the middle of the screen. This is the first time I've ever done this. Can I just, if I cancel, is it just going to take that little square away?
I have no idea.
Just hit join with audio, and then you can choose to mute yourself at the bottom left corner of your computer screen.
Okay, so the minus is mute.
Courtney,
I'm muting all. Okay, I just muted everyone because my ears were like, it was going crazy. So unmute yourself if you want to talk.
Okay, I just have some feedback for what I've told someone recently, and I've just recently joined. But I have a colleague who's really sensitive to wine, and you know, her face gets really flushed, and she gets bad headaches and things like that. Her allergies are really bad. I just told her to try it, you know, to see, because it's something, you know, it may or may not work for everybody, but it's, you know, I just told her that it's a better quality because it doesn't have
and all. Yeah, the allergy and flushing is the histamines, and so that probably means she has more of a red sensitivity, so I would push her more towards the whites. Mine is the opposite. Mine's a sulfite sensitivity, which those are more in whites. So I can drink reds. I can drink a bottle of red and be fine now, whereas I couldn't. So if she's more, you know, susceptible to like the symptoms of histamines, which is the reds more, I would push her to the whites, and I guarantee you she won't have that feeling. I mean,
well,
you cannot blame that, but say give it a try.
Even to that same point, like I have a histamine sensitivity, and I only am affected when I'm already sick. Like if I already have a cold, then I notice it after I drink any reds, no matter what. But I've had other people say, oh, I don't drink reds because of this. And my response, like yours, Sarah, is always to say, if you're willing to try some, just a little bit, you know, I can't guarantee, but I feel pretty confident that you'll be surprised.
Right.
You know, and no fail. Every time that has been my personal experience, I haven't had anybody come back to me and say, no, it didn't work. You know what I mean?
And I work in the oil and gas industry, so compliance is a huge part of my life. So I never try to 100% guarantee anything. I mean, so I think, you know, and each person is different. So each person's going to react differently to maybe something that is good for you may not be good for them. So.
Right. And it, you know, at the end of the day, it's alcohol. I mean, it is. And yes, does it help me not to have headaches and hangovers? 100%. Like that's been my personal experience. But, you know, if they have a ton, like Mandy said, at their tasting, they didn't have enough water. I mean, it's still alcohol. Like it's not like we can say, no matter how much you drink, you're going to feel awesome tomorrow. And I've had tastings too, where I do the tasting, and then people have brought cheap whatever wine they could find, and then they drink that after the fact, you know? So it's just like, at that point, I'm like, okay, since y'all are mixing this now with like crap wine, you know, I can't make any like statements whatsoever about it. But
I think
so
a big thing,
you word it.
Don't be scared. Like, don't be like, of stuff you've already posted. We're doing this as a proactive thing. Like, it doesn't, you're not on anyone's radar right now. Like, and I guarantee you no other team but Wild Vines is probably having this conversation. But I know a lot's going on in corporate right now that they know a lot of things going on, not within my team, but within other teams that they are going to buckle down on. And we don't want anyone to be in trouble. So yes, you can say, I'm so glad I don't get hangovers now because I have always had a sulfite sensitivity and we don't toss tons of extra sulfites on our wine, whatever. But you cannot make blanket statements. You just can't do that. And besides that, you want to focus on the wine, and you don't want to sound gimmicky and stuff. You really, I mean, you want to do tastings and sound credible. You want to be able to, if you make bold statements, I kind of feel like it doesn't sound believable almost, you know? So I think especially, I mean, if you get yourself booked with different tastings, I think the more you do that, the more confident you'll feel in not being gimmicky. Like you won't feel this need to be like, oh, like I've never been to a tasting and I throw out some crazy statements and then they're like, oh, let me get my clipboard out and sign up for extra wine because of that. It's more because they're tasting it and they're like, tell me more about this. It's, I mean, price point's a big deal and stuff like that, but you don't want to cheat the brand.
Okay, Court. Dawn asked, so what do you say on the calorie issue? Is our wines have up to 50% less calories okay? The answer is no. And kind of like Lauren touched on, we don't have, you know, lots of people have been asking for specific calorie counts and nutrition information. We don't have that. That's not something, to my understanding, that Sarah has said that.
She has said that, but it's not.
So I personally have been guilty of saying our wines have 30 to 40% fewer calories per bottle, and I need to stop doing that because, frankly, I heard that somewhere. I don't know if that's true or not. So going forward, I will simply say our wines have fewer calories per bottle than mass-produced wines because nutrition will tell you that sugar has calories. I think it's 15 calories per teaspoon. And if there's less sugar, then there's naturally less calories and less carbs, period. So make the claim it's less sugar than mass-produced wine.
And in my experience, as long as I just, like, all I have to do is point out, like, obviously, I'll say something like Mandy just said, like, obviously because there's no added sugar, there are less calories. And then people are like, don't even ask necessarily. Some people will, but for the most part, people are like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Like, I mean, you know,
like how many Weight Watchers points? We don't know. Like we cannot say it's 4 points per glass. Like we have, it's less than the other one, but we can't put any specific numbers with it.
And I think that one's a hard one, Dawn. I'm not going to lie, because Sarah I can count 3 occasions, has said it's up to 50%. Like she has said that statement.
Oh, and my husband's in the kitchen saying Andy would have to tie it to each wine, which is so true because each varietal has a different amount of sugar per grape. And I mean, it would be a whole thing. It goes to
Pickpole because Pickpole has 12 calories per glass. So
you will notice 80%. If you go through a lot of the new descriptions of the new wines, it will say however many grams of residual sugar. Like 0, I didn't know what that meant at first when I was making tasting cards last week, but if you go through and look at them tonight, like I can't remember specifically which ones, but if you see where it says like less than, 0.12 grams of RS or whatever, that means less than 0.1 grams of residual sugar per, I think it's ounce or something like that of wine. So that's a number that you can say if you want to mess with that. But honestly, if you want to research what a comparable wine would be, like if you want to look up La Crema and be like, an example of, you can state facts this is 0.12, that's a fact. And then La Crema is 0.45 or whatever. That's a fact. So you can compare facts. And Sarah has said 50% less calories. She has said that. But then there's times like Pickpole that has like 12 calories. That's like 90% less calories. I mean, that's a ridiculous amount. So by saying half the calories, it's not really true because some is 90%, some's 20%, some's 80%. You just don't want to say blanket statements like that.
if you want to really dig into it and then get, like Mandy said, get your facts straight as far as like the residual sugar and all that, you can totally crush that. But you can just state the obvious, like people, I mean, wine drinkers know most of the calories from wine comes from sugar, be it residual sugar or added sugar. So
how many calories per glass in Pickpool?
Yeah, it was 12.
Per glass or per
glass?
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. I think a good, and Lauren, maybe you can help me on this. I think maybe a good rule of thumb is if it is something that Scout and Cellar has put in writing somewhere, then we're good to go.
Do not quote me on that. All this excitement over to the right. Do not quote me on that. It is something that Chris Valenti.
I know. I just like
totally quoting you.
Chris Valenti told me that after a bottle. She's like, the whole bottle's only 48. So.
Yeah, I would err on the side of like, let's not all go to social media and blast that.
No, please don't.
So, again, we're all learning as we grow, and we're all trying to figure out, you know, what to say, what not to say. Things have changed since we first started. But if you don't know for a fact it's true, I would just say, like, check your own judgment first before you post anything. And if you don't know for a fact it's true, like less sugar, yes, that's true. You can say that. Just don't say it, because it's not worth like the potential issues. And you know, earlier the question, can you say is that, you know, our wines are up to 50% less calories? I wouldn't say that. And then if you want to, like, if you do happen to have the specific details on one wine, this is the, you know, my litigator part of me. If you say, oh yeah, the Pickpool only has 12 calories per glass, well then, you know what that does? That opens the door to ask about all the other wines, and then you're gonna be like, oh, I don't know, and then you look like you're not educated on the other wines. And so sometimes you can create more questions by stating some random fact that you think might sell some bottles of wine. Sometimes it makes you look like, I think Kristen or someone said gimmicky, and Courtney said too, gimmicky, but it also makes you, sometimes you get caught, you know, unprepared, and you're like, well, crap, I don't know how to answer that question. So,
I think if the company has put it in writing somewhere, then it's safe.
Like, yeah, so like I said, I mean, the card that we all have, you know, flyers made, that's now coming in our wine, which is awesome. That's the graphics, like, that really should be your go-to for actual facts, unless there's some specific fact on a particular wine that came from Sarah, that came from corporate. Great, perfect, that's awesome. But don't make blanket statements. Don't make guarantees that, oh, you can have as much wine as you want and you're not going to feel bad tomorrow. Because, I mean, the fact of the matter is, some people still do get headaches. Some people still do have allergies to our wine. So, you know, it would suck to have that one person that you promised basically wouldn't feel bad the next day, and then they felt bad the next day.
And like, if you're unsure, I think Court and Lauren probably both already said this, but if you're not sure, if you are about to say something or want to say something, you know, in your marketing or advertising or whatever, like, call or text one of us or post it on Wild Vines, and somebody can confirm or say, you know, no, I would phrase it this way instead. Like, we're not just gonna be like, no, do not do that. Like, we can help. Maybe this would be a better thing or whatever.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're going to learn stuff, learn about the wines. Like, if you're going to be at a tasting, be educated on the wines, not the gimmicky stuff. You know, like, state the facts and then wow them with cool facts about the vineyard. Wow them with, like, crazy. I mean, on Sunday I had the most awesome tasting, but it was like, I just would research the vineyards and come out with a really cool fact about the fining process or something. I mean, they were more wowed by that stuff than, oh, the gimmicky crap. You know, you don't want to make that. Just stay with the message of the company, and it wows it enough. And then the wine wows it again, and then the facts about these cute awesome wineries. Like, lay your business on that and you'll find your reputation to be like a lot better than just doing blasting gimmicky stuff all day, you know?
Totally agree. And like, use the headache stuff. Like for Courtney, I mean, I know this is huge for Courtney, like she said, and for me, I get horrible headaches from red wine. Mm-hmm. Talk about it in your story. Say, look, I love wine. I've always loved wine, but I haven't been able to drink it. But for me, this wine works for me. It's been, you know, a life changer for me. Like, as long as it's your personal experience, your personal story, you're good. But just don't make any like blanket statements, guarantees. Like, it's hangover free, 100% headache free. Like, just, yeah.
So let's talk about lighter stuff. Anyone have like cool tasting stories or like fun things that they've done? I'll start. I'm just kidding. So I will though. So I heard that there's a new bar Pilates place opening in Frisco. And so I emailed her and I was like, hey, would you want to do like a wine tasting, a class to glass? I always say, you know, some friends in Fort Worth had done them and they're successful and they're fun and people love them. And she was like, I love that idea. Let's do it our grand opening weekend. So Abby, one of my new girls, and I went, and it wasn't like a huge crazy success, but when I first went to meet her last week before the tasting, the girl in there was their media coordinator. And I didn't know that, but Deanna, the owner, was walking around with like the people with the lighting and fixing stuff in her studios. And so I just sat with this girl and I was like, of course, just start talking to her about Scout and Cellar, and I'm showing her the video from after the awards and stuff. And I honestly didn't even know who she was or what role she was in the business. But rest assured, she's like the media coordinator for like them, and she works with all the spas and special event centers in the area. And so we already have stuff booked out through April and May. So I that whole like just talk to everyone thing, like just do. She was like, I am so impressed with this brand. I love it. I feel like you fit into every part of like what I do and we could really partner up and stuff. I just thought she was maybe even a customer there. I didn't even know who she was, honestly. So I think you just got to talk. And that's the way I've just been getting booked out, is like random things. Like I'll have maybe one house tasting event, but the rest of mine have been at other places. So anyways, anyone else?
I got to go to a fun med spa last week in Georgetown. And speaking of talking to people, there was this guy who didn't look like he belonged when I walked in. As it turned out, he's the doctor who owns the spa. And he went to Georgetown Med and now lives in LA. But his wife is from Highland Park. And so anyway, we just got to chat and stuff. And the girls there were really cool. It was a super fun event. I was there for a while, but there were probably 16 or 20 people that came through. So it was almost like an actual tasting, because I got like one-on-one time with each person. So that worked out really well. And I get to go to Kinder Scott next week in Richmond for an event. So I'm really excited about that.
That's awesome.
She's getting some free jewelry too. That's pretty fun.
I know. I'm super excited.
Does anybody else have stories or any other questions for us? Like anything?
Any help?
No. Okay. Well,
Dawn, when did you order your shipment that you're getting it? I'm just interested on ship times.
On the 11th. So
okay.
This was the longest it took. It was.
Yeah.
But
and I'm trying to, because I'm like maybe 10 minutes from the warehouse now. I know, don't be like hating me. But I mean, I live like on the tollway on Frisco, and it's on the tollway in Prosper now, and it's like 10 minutes away. And I'm trying to figure out like if there's ways, like if y'all are in emergency situations, like do a pickup. I can go pick it up, go to the FedEx store and get it to y'all sooner. Like, and I have a feeling it'd be a lot cheaper than that 2-day shipping if I do that. Like if, let's say you have something on Monday, and I go pick it up on Thursday and get it to you. I don't know. I'm willing to brainstorm, and I'm super happy to help any of you and all that.
Do you want to pack?
I could always need like halfway for the Fort Worth area people. Like I know we have a lot of Keller Fort Worth. Like I could always meet you, you know, halfway to pick up wine for bowl.
Yeah, Jacqueline is coming.
Hi, by the way.
From Colorado. Her connection's a little cray-cray, but she's
sorry.
No, but I know we have a lot of people that are in the in-between cities and over in Fort Worth. And I mean, I've run into her at the warehouse twice. So it's so close. So let us like help. I know sometimes it's like tricky with shipping. And if you're ever in an emergent situation, like let's figure it out. Like just email me and we'll make it happen. I don't want y'all to miss out on an opportunity because you can't get your wine.
I have one other thing too. Just Courtney, to your point earlier about like talking to everyone and like reaching out to people. And I tell people, like, I try to tell my team this all the time, just because they aren't interested now. And Courtney, you said this in your presentation too, just because they're not interested now doesn't mean they're not interested in a month. So for me, I met a girl several months ago when I literally just started. So like October. And, I hadn't heard from her. I'd run into her a couple of times and like I kind of have told her about a little bit about the business, but not a whole lot. But she reached out to me yesterday and was like, I'm super interested. Like she just kind of came out of nowhere. So don't get discouraged if you hear no's, because you'll be surprised how many of those no's will turn into yeses whenever the time's right. So
yeah, you just have to be like visible to them. Like if you're visible, you're in their brain. I mean, think about it though. Like what is a purchase that you'll make? Like boots. Okay. Like if I see a pair of boots that I like in a store, I'll be like, I like those boots. But then I go and I see them on someone I really like. I'll be like, oh, those are those boots I saw in the store. Then you see them again. I mean, it's just like that with everything. So you got to be visible. You got to be, if you're not on social media, you're completely missing out. If you're not posting almost every day, missing the boat. Like, I mean, there's so many statistics on like posting almost every day. Like just being visible is like huge. So that's for another call, but I don't know. And just action, like just put your plans in motion. I know like the whole recruiting deal, like come up with a plan for yourself. And if you don't have one or you need help, please contact your upline or me, Lauren, Mandy, any of us. I mean, that's our jam. Like we love that. Like we built an awesome team based on hopefully good leadership. We like to drink wine. We will certainly drink wine with you too. So yeah, we want y'all's team to be awesome and successful. I mean, our Wild Vines team is the #1 team. Like we are, I mean, people like look at us as the example. So, and that comes because we like to sell and we like to lead. And if you need help with any of those things, please contact us. That's what we're here for. So, yeah. And if you have any questions about any of the legal stuff, contact us too. Again, no one is in trouble. Like no one's like on the radar, I promise.
We just don't want anybody we just don't want anyone to like get on the radar. So absolutely. It's just, as the brand grows, and the more, like Kristen asked the question about, are we getting pushback from Rodan and Fields? I've heard a bunch of stuff. And like Marley said, like, it's going to happen. They are going to feel threatened because we have an awesome product. Like, and they do too. They're just totally, like, it's apples to oranges, totally different. So people will try to destroy us. I mean, it's going to happen with any successful business. I deal with it on a daily basis. You wouldn't imagine the claims I see just on the daily. So it's the nature of being successful. It just kind of comes with the territory. So it's just better to be proactive than reactive, because if you're being reactive, it's not ever a good thing.
So another call I want to do in response to Kate is a customer. I know Natalie talked about Google Streak, and it's completely blowing my mind. Like I'm having like palpitations at night over this. Like cannot deal with it. But I want to talk about customer like management, but B, like how we follow up with them, what are things like that. And so Kate, to your point, for people that haven't yet ordered, email. No, I text them. I mean, I'm in a texting thing with one right now. I'm not, hey, this is what I say. Hey girl, waiting on your order to close it out the party. And just want to make sure, did you want anything? And then she'll be like, oh, they're waiting on me. And then it's like a put your foot to the fire type deal. I don't know if that's nice or not, but I do it like, hey girl, nice to meet you, blah, 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 waiting to close out this party. And that's what I say. Or this tasting, want to close it out. And that's what I say. I don't know if that helps or not, but I do want to talk about customer management on a whole nother call. Google Street blew my mind. I know Natalie was all about that, but all the YouTube videos that I looked at, yes. I mean, I probably spent 7 hours just researching this thing because it's blowing my mind. And it's all about Beachbody, and Natalie is from Beachbody. So that's why it's what Beachbody uses. So I need to find a customer management thing that maybe is more geared towards us. So.
And Marley, Jacqueline, are you still on? I can't see you, but I know Marley she sent Jacqueline and I videos. So like maybe Marley and Jacqueline or Marley can lead a call soon and kind of take everyone through Street, because she
Marley, I will mail you some 14K rosé if you spend some time with me. I've never felt so dumb in my life, really. Except when Drew told me that.
I was going to say, just get Drew to do it. Drew could probably rock the
I never felt so dumb, unless it's like 6 months ago and Drew told me that PowerPoint is so 6 months ago. Google Slides is like the new thing, Mom. So, anyways.
Leave it to the 10-year-old.
Marley, you and I. We have a date. I'll send you 14K. So, anyways, anyone else have questions? Like shipping, tastings, anything else? Like,
somebody asked if Jolie is still on the ship. I think it's coming in April, right?
I mean, is it like is the sun hitting it, making it go bad? I mean, seriously. Oh, by the way, I did learn about temperatures of wines. I know we were concerned. We have some like Florida reps, some Texas, whatever. For a bottle, the actual wine to get to the temperature in which the wine is not good anymore, the bottle, its purpose actually is to keep wine at a better temperature anyways. So just because it may be 105 outside does not mean that the wine is 105 degrees. Part of the wine's job is to actually keep it at a lower temperature. So do not put it on top of your refrigerator, and do not place it on a counter where sun is hitting it. My overflow from my wine fridge was like on my counter where there was windows. So anyways, yay.
All right, it's late out here in Virginia. I'm gonna go to bed.
All righty. Night, Mandy. Y'all enjoy your snow. Enjoy your 8 inches of snow.
Yeah.
Hey, you know, it's the only snow we've gotten all season, and it came today, so it's exciting. Yeah, I can see by the fire.
If anyone has questions later, just ask us whenever. Like text us, email us, Wildvines us, whatever.
Wildvines us.
Wildvines us. Okay. Thanks, y'all.
No. There. Yeah. All right. Bye, guys. I recorded this, so I'll be posting it. All right.
Bye, everyone.
Later, dudes.
Bye.